It feels like it's been a month since we had a Catfish on Ice episode, but it has not been a month. It's only been a week, but we missed you, everybody. This is Catfish on Ice, episode 131. Off-season edition rolls along here. We are in the dog days of the off-season. Not a lot going on in Nashville Predators land right now, but we are here to get you through it. We are here to get you through it.
Yeah, you look on Twitter and they see something posted from the Predators social media, and it's like, here's a picture of Ryan Johansson's dog, and everybody freaks out. They're like, oh my gosh, it's his dog. Look, they're just hurting for some news.
There's just not a lot out there right now. The players are taking a much needed and well-deserved break from everything. Yep. It's kind of a time to push reset, and then things will start picking up throughout June and definitely July when we get closer to free agency. Mm-hmm. But Catfish on Ice doesn't take a break. We will keep you going through these off seasons. So this is Chad Minton, your host, with co-host Rich Howe. We're excited to bring you a brand new episode. We are going to preview the conference finals of the Stanley Cup playoffs. We've already got game one going on right now between the Edmonton Oilers and the Colorado Avalanche. Talk about some great ratings for the NHL. That's got to be a dream matchup, and the NHL's got to be so happy that they got Connor McDavid versus Nathan McKinnon in a conference finals matchup.
Oh, you know that. They are just aching for that matchup, and it's not disappointing. It looks like I just turned it on. It's 5-3.
It's insane, dude. It's like it's already 5-3. Oh, hold on. Check that. Oh. The Avs just scored again. It's 6-3.
They are, I'm telling you, it's going to come down to Colorado and Tampa.
And guess what? They're finally throwing in the towel on Mike Smith. Mike Smith's coming out. Poor guy. I mean, I've never seen a more hot and cold goaltender than Mike Smith. I don't know if you agree, but I mean, the guy either looks like a Vezina worthy candidate or he looks like an AHL goalie. Like there's no in between with Mike Smith. He is just like all over the place.
You're right.
But poor Mike Smith. Hey, is this making you feel a little bit better, Rich, that the Preds got swept when you see the Avs doing this to a team like the Oilers tonight? I mean, they put up 6 goals.
For sure. I mean, it does make you feel a little bit better. It's like we've said it the whole time. Colorado is a buzzsaw, and that's just what they do. That's their MO.
Okay, so this game one that's happening to the Oilers right now feels I can understand how this feels because this is kind of what happened. This is kind of what happened in game one for the Preds when they played the Avalanche.
Except we don't have a Connor McDavid.
Well, that's a big part of it, yes. But it's like once the Avs get cooking, man, like you're not going to stop them. You're just not.
It's okay. They just showed that last goal. It was a redirect. There's no way he could have got that. Anyway, yeah, there's just no stopping them. There's just no stopping them. The Blues couldn't handle them, and the Blues were awesome, down the stretch.
Oh, how about that comeback? How about that comeback win that the Blues had that one night, though, to keep the series alive?
That was a good game.
Crazy. But okay, we're gonna preview both conference finals matchups. Of course, tomorrow night, or I guess you could say Wednesday night, if you're listening the next day. It's going to be the Rangers versus the Tampa Bay Lightning. And the Rangers, let me tell you, this team refuses to quit. They have pushed off elimination how many times in these playoffs? And then Rich, I saw you do the laughy emojis last night when it comes talking about the Carolina Hurricanes, and it's like,
couldn't have happened to a better team.
It feels good to see them get eliminated once again. They fall short in the second round, and the Rangers are kind of an easy team to cheer for. Honestly, like I don't have any qualms about the Rangers going deep. They're a pretty likable team, if you ask me.
Yeah, I don't have any problem with them either. I like several of their players. Ryan Reeves doesn't even bother me that much. He used to, but doesn't really matter. And they have like the best goaltender in the NHL, in my opinion, or the 1A and 1B goaltender.
Vasilevsky versus Igor Shesterkin. You want to talk about a heavyweight goaltender matchup?
For sure.
I mean, that series feels like it's going to be the complete opposite of the way this series is going. I could totally see Tampa Bay and the New York Rangers get stuck in a goaltender duel where it's 2-1 wins, 3-2 might be your top of the mark.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's going to be nearly as high scoring for obvious reasons as this Avs Oilers series is looking like it's going to be. And we all kind of expected the Oilers and the Avs to be high scoring. Lindsay just joined on YouTube. Hey, Lindsay, we've missed you. And we're so happy you're joining us here.
And then she says, "Go Avs."
Oh, shocker.
Lindsay,
shocker that Lindsay's going for the Oilers.
Noted Edmonton hater.
Right.
Oh, it's so funny. And
that the battle
about
for
what we said, goaltender battle in Tampa Bay and New York. That's going to be crazy. Definitely got to watch that.
Right. But battle for Alberta. Talk about what a series that was. Your heart goes out to the Flames, but the Oilers the Oilers have Connor McDavid. They have Leon Draisaitl. The biggest thing, and this is really me thinking about this series against the Avs in these conference finals. I'm just wondering if the Oilers are still going to get caught up in being a little top heavy. I think the Avs are a way deeper team and completely showing that right now. The Avs can just come at you with so many different waves of great players. Whereas the Oilers, they got a lot. They're deep. They got some good depth players, but they're not nearly on the level of the Colorado Avalanche, in my opinion.
No, not at all. And if you look at, let's say Edmonton pulls off some kind of miracle against Colorado and goes to the Stanley Cup final and they meet Tampa Bay, do you really have faith in your goaltender against the Tampa Bay Lightning? I mean, it's just
exactly. Well, I've got some numbers written down here, but before we get into that, also we're going to do an early look ahead at what we think the Preds lineup will look like in 2022-23. Also, I want to say, if you hear a dog barking in the background, that is my mother's dog. Poor thing's having a little bit of a panic attack right now, but she's barking in the background. I'm not going to be able to get her to stop. So my apologies for the barking dog in the background. Not much I can do about it right now. But so we're going to do an early look ahead at the Preds lineup in 2022-23 season, next season, and kind of answer some tough questions, not just about Philip Forsberg, but talking about the free agency market, which we're going to do a full free agency episode as the free agent period gets closer, which will be in July. But we've got to answer some tough questions about, are we going to call up some more players from Milwaukee like Cody Glass? What are we going to do about like the depth scoring that Rich always talks about? I know Luke Cunnin had a really rough year. Ellie Tolvanen had a rough year. So we got to answer some questions on how this lineup's going to look for opening night in 2022-23 season. So we're going to kind of pull out our crystal ball and look at that. And also with that, talk about some players who we expect to take the next level up in their careers next season. I've got a good short list of players that I expect to take that next level up next season. So that's how we will round out episode 131.
There's definitely some that need to do that. Definitely know some that need to do that. Absolutely.
All right. It's 6-3 as we are just coming up on the midway point of regulation. We are halfway through the second period, and there have been 9 total goals scored in this game between the Avs and the Oilers. The Colorado Avalanche have 6 of those 9 goals. And oh my gosh, watching Nathan McKinnon out there, I mean, he glides. It's like he's not even skating. He's so effortless. It's like
he is so fast. He's such a fast skater and can do very amazing things carrying the puck. I expected a little more fight out of Edmonton than this, but I just don't see it. Don't see it happening.
Well, coming into this series, you've got the top 2 scoring teams in the playoffs so far. The Edmonton Oilers lead the playoffs in scoring goals per game, 4.33 a game. Colorado's virtually right there with them with 4.3 goals per game. So both teams put up well over 4 goals per game. So this shouldn't be a huge – I mean, it's still crazy to see 6 goals already scored by the Avalanche, but you did expect this to be a really high-scoring series, and it's going completely according to script in this game 1 so far. Also, Colorado has the top power play in the playoffs at over 34% success rate. That's pretty crazy to think about. Edmonton is 5th in the playoffs with a 28.2 power play percentage. And also, Colorado is second among playoff teams in shots on goal per game. They average 40 shots on goal per game, Rich. I mean, a goaltender's nightmare is when you have to face off against the Colorado Avalanche. And unfortunately, Mike Smith figured that out pretty well tonight. He's going to be having nightmares about the Colorado Avalanche coming after him.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe the altitude got to him and he just couldn't perform well. I don't know. But that's crazy. I mean, this is the last thing I would have expected to turn on the game and see them having 6 goals already. But
also coming into this series, I trust Darcy Kemper in net way more than I trusted Mike Smith.
For sure.
I feel bad that I keep beating up on Mike Smith here, but Darcy Kemper is a proven top end goaltender in this league, whereas Mike Smith, he's good, but is he ready to carry a team to a Stanley Cup? I don't know about that.
It doesn't look like it. I think they more rely on Connor McDavid scoring a whole bunch of goals, than the goaltending. But it's not happening tonight.
I mean, there are some quality players on this team outside of Connor McDavid. I really like Zach Hyman. He's a really good backup scorer for them, who's scored a lot of goals in this postseason to his own credit. So you got to watch out for a player like Zach Hyman. But again, I just think the Avalanche are way too deep. They're just way too stacked. And it's give me an Avs Tampa Bay Lightning Stanley Cup. And like you said, you can call it a bloodbath. You can call it a battle of heavyweights. You can call it whatever you want. I don't think the Oilers can beat Tampa either. Let's say the Oilers somehow knock out the Avalanche. I think that's – but I meant let's flip over to the Rangers and the Lightning. What's the biggest thing that besides the goaltender matchup that you're interested about between the Bolts and the Rangers? Like, what's something you're really looking for, Rich, besides that goalie matchup?
I mean, I really do like the Rangers, and I'm not just saying that because I don't care for Tampa Bay that much, but I really would like to see them perform well. They've played well. They're kind of the underdog, and nobody's going to expect them to beat Tampa Bay, that's for sure. But I really like Mika Zibanejad. How you say it?
Zibanejad? Zibanejad. Yeah, it's a tongue twister.
Zibanejad. That's it. Yeah, I like him a lot. And Panarin's obviously an awesome player. Kreider, I like him. Just the whole team. But
Zibanejad is third. Zibanejad is third in the playoffs with 19 points. He has scored this third most points in these playoffs with 19 points.
He's really good. I just don't think they're going to have it in them, but we'll see what happens.
See, I don't know, Rich. I don't know if you're giving the Rangers enough credit here, man. I think that they actually could take out Tampa. It's going to be tough, but I mean, they've already, and here's why. They've got the goaltender to do it. They've got that box checked off now. And I know Shesterkin had a really rocky start to these playoffs, but he's really settled into his own since then. And he's back to looking like regular season Shesterkin now. And so if anybody can take out the Tampa Bay Lightning, it's a team like the Rangers that has their goaltender who is absolutely capable of stealing a series.
For sure.
For pure entertainment value, I would much rather see Tampa Bay make it in so they can play the Avs. But either way, I give the Rangers a puncher's chance to take out the Tampa Bay Lightning. I really do.
I hope you're right. I just I don't know. Tampa Bay is, I mean, they're Tampa Bay. I mean, they're who they are. They're really hard to play against. And I don't know. I guess we'll find out what happens, but it's just it just doesn't seem like they got enough firepower. I mean, Vasilevsky, he's shown some chinks in the armor in the past. And like you said, Shesterkin's really come into his own. And you can't. I was thinking about the Carolina series, and like I don't know if that was a true test for New York, because obviously something was wrong with Carolina on the road. They went, what was it, 0-6 or 0-7 on the road,
but they were also undefeated at home up until that last game.
They were. That's absolutely true. But it just seems like something was just off with them the whole time, even though they still played really hard. It just didn't seem like the normal Carolina team that we're used to seeing.
The place I was at last night watching the game, I was out with some friends, and there was this one guy wearing a Hartford Whalers green hockey jersey. And this dude, I mean, he was –
I bet he was
having a rough one. Let's just put it that way, watching his Canes get knocked out in pretty convincing fashion in that game. I mean, it was the Rangers kind of ran him out of the building there. So
I didn't get to watch it, but I saw at one point it was like 4-1 or something, and I was like,
the Rangers kind of put an exclamation point on that series and said, nope, we're in it. So they've went through 2 Game 7 series now and won both Game 7s, obviously. So this team is showing up in the clutch, and I said, I give them a 30% chance to win this series. I'll give Tampa 60. So I don't think it's a complete, or God, my math's horrible. I'll give the Rangers a 40%, 60-40. I'll give the Rangers a 40.
Who gets that other 10?
Rich was thinking, what is the other 10? Is this a trick question?
I was like, did I miss something? It's all good.
Oh, yeah. Rangers, I'll give them a 40% chance, and I'll give the Tampa Bay Lightning a 60% chance. Yeah. So I think it's a closer matchup than people might think.
It is. Out of all 4 of the teams, the Rangers are who I would want to win if I had my choice.
Don't put that curse on them, Rich.
I know.
Every team we've cheered for in these playoffs have gotten knocked out.
I know. Yeah.
We do not. That's the curse right there, man.
Unfortunately. Oh, there's why Connor McDavid's not playing well. Wayne Gretzky's staring him, watching him up in the box.
Yeah.
So he's got all that pressure to uphold the Gretzky.
I saw a really cool quote from Emily Kaplan's story on ESPN today talking about this series, and McKinnon didn't mince words about it. He said, no, Connor McDavid is the best player in this league, and he's been the best player for a long time now. Because, they were trying to ask him, like, how does it feel to go head-to-head against – Connor McDavid, and McKinnon was like, "Look, that dude is the best in the league, no questions about it." So
for sure, but Nathan McKinnon's no slouch.
Nathan McKinnon's no slouch. That dude. Where did I rank him on my playoff? I put him at number 4, didn't I?
He's really high.
I'm pretty sure. I ranked him, and I feel like he's really come through for me since I did that list. So
I think what you said though about the depth of Colorado, that's the clincher and the killer for most of these teams. They just can't, you just can't contend with all of them. You might be able to hold, one line to not get as many points or keep them from scoring, but you can't hold all of them back. And they're all really good. So
for sure, the NHL I got to tell you, the NHL has to be thrilled with how these playoffs have gone and the matchups that they've gotten. Because there have been so many good matchups. When you look at the battle for Alberta, and then of course you're getting this matchup here between Edmonton and Colorado. When you got Tampa, Toronto in the first round, which you've had so many just really good matchups. St. Louis, Minnesota was a really intriguing matchup. So NHL's really got to feel great about how these playoffs have gone for them.
Sure.
And it's their first year being on TNT and ESPN. I think the coverage has been really good for both networks. I love some of these camera shots they're showing tonight in tonight's game on the ice when they're doing face-offs and stuff. I do like TNT's production more than ESPN's though. I don't know why, but I like TNT.
I think I do as well. But if you look at the 4 teams, you got a Canadian team. The NHL loves that. Obviously, you've got an original 6 team in the Rangers. They definitely, they love that. That's like their favorite thing to ever talk about. And then you got the Stanley Cup champs, and then you got a Colorado team that is just like murdering teams. So I think they're really happy.
Yeah, you got the Rangers, who are a big market team, so that they love that. So they got to be happy. All right, we're going to keep watching these conference finals. Tweet the show at Catfish Ice, or tell us on YouTube right now what Stanley Cup matchup are you hoping for, and also which team remaining are you going for the most and why. Tell us on YouTube. Tweet the show at Catfish Ice. We'll retweet you, and we will get your comment right here on the live episode. Absolutely. Let's move along here in episode 131 of Catfish on Ice, presented by DraftKings and part of Hockey Podcast Network, with Chad Minton and Rich Howe, your host. let's take an early look at what we think the Preds lineup's going to look like next season. Of course, Rich, I think a big question about the top line is we got to get the right line mates with Ryan Johansson. And is Ryan Johansson still the top 6 center that we want him to be? Because you really got to figure that out. And so the Preds, a lot last season, did seem to have their top 6 figured out for a long time. Like you didn't really see a lot of lineup shuffling at first. And that was pretty nice and refreshing to see. But I do think that David Poyle and John Hines, and they said it in that end of season press conference, they've really got to answer some questions to close this gap between them and these playoff teams we're watching. I mean, you can see the gap is so noticed. Massive. It's so apparent when you're watching these games, these playoffs, that the Preds need to do something.
Yeah, you watch that, even like Carolina and the Rangers when they were playing. Just you see these guys; they're so fast, they're so skilled shooting the whole 9 yards, and like you think about you watch the Predators and you're like, let's say by some miraculous, some miracle that they did get past Colorado, there's no way they would have made it out of the second round because these teams, they're just too quick. They're too quick and they're too strong.
I don't know if they would have somehow slayed Goliath and taken out the Avs in the first round, then I don't know what would have stopped him. But I mean, we know that was never going to happen. Yeah, but so here's my thing about next season. Here's my thing about looking at the top line for next season, because some people seem to like Forsberg, Duchesne, and Granlund on the second line more. And so that means you got to figure out the top line. And obviously you're going to put Johansson up there. Or do the Preds go look for a big center? Do they make a big splash in the agency and try to get them a top 6 center? I mean, I don't know. That's why free agency is going to be so interesting, because there's so many good targets out there. Look at.
There's tons this year, and I'm not gonna lie, I like the Forsberg, Granlund, Duchesne line a lot.
I love it too. Yeah,
and I know they was considered the second line or whatever, but what you said about finding Johansson some line mates, that is going to be crucial. And if we're lucky enough for Forsberg to stay, I hope he does. I think they really need to go out and get a player or two maybe to play with Johansson, or move Tanner Jeannot up. I think he could probably handle it.
I actually think so. Here's my idea. I think you got to explore moving Philip Tomasino with Ryan Johansson to open next season.
That's good too.
And then you figured out from there what you do on that other spot. I do think the Preds desperately need to make a free agency upgrade for their top 6. I think that right now we cannot accurately say who's going to be in the top 6 next year, because that player currently is not on this roster. I think they're going to go out shopping for a free agent top 6 forward.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that's going to happen. Even if Forsberg stays, I still think they're going to go out and try to get themselves a top 6 forward. Because
they're going to have to.
Clearly, Luke Cunnin does not need to be in the top 6, in my opinion. He's a great role player. He brings a lot of fire and a lot of intensity, and I love that. But that's not enough to be in the top 6 for a playoff contending team. It's just not enough.
No, and I know that they really had high hopes for Tolvanen last year, and that didn't pan out either, because I know he spent a lot of time with Johansson or up in the second line. Not the second line, but you know what I mean. He was in the top 6 from time to time, and Cunnin was up there a lot too. But I totally agree with what you said. Cunnin has no business being up there, and they're definitely going to have to get somebody. I know they're going to have the money to get somebody, and he's going to have to spend it for sure, because things can't continue like they are now. There's just no way. No way.
And I'm right there with you on Forsberg, Duchesne, and Granlund. Of course, if Forsberg stays. And then I'm right there with you that keeping those 3 together. I mean, they were the brightest spot of the team outside of UC Saros this season, and Roman Josi, obviously. But just talking about out of your 4 forward lines, I mean, that line was cooking. I mean, they were the ones that produced a lot of the offense that this team had this season, was Duchesne, Granlund, and Forsberg all together. So you got to figure out a way to keep those 3 together as a line going into next season. And then
Forsberg and Duchesne really fed off each other too really well.
Yep.
They played really well together. So
they did. Well, and you bring up do you move Tanner Jeannot up? Well, that would mean you'd have to break up that herd line that it's become so reliable. And do we really want to do that? That's another question you got to ask yourself, and that's a tough question to answer.
It is, yeah, because there's just not enough space for everybody.
They're just so trustworthy. They're just so trustworthy together. Colton Sissons, Yakov Trenin, and Tanner Jeannot are just so trustworthy together that it's hard to even fathom breaking them up. Yeah. But again, you do want to give Tanner Jeannot a chance to get more ice time if he's earned it. You don't want to leave him buried in the bottom six if you think that he can bring you more value by moving him up and getting him more ice time. So maybe he is that sixth forward that moves into the top six next season. You move Luke Cunnin out. I mean, that could happen. That wouldn't completely shock me. But that's only if they don't make a free agency addition, which I still think they're going to do that.
Yeah, and then like you said, there's the Tomasino question. What do you do with him? Because if you do Johansson, Tomasino, and Jeannot, like is that going to be enough? I
don't know if those would mesh well together. I don't know. It's tough to say.
Yeah, I know, but like for Tomasino, you want him to get more minutes and develop more, but like if you don't want to break up the third line, then that would leave him on the fourth, and it's really
a tough puzzle to solve right here. Well, the fourth line is definitely going to have a change because no one expects Nick Cousins to re-sign here. I think they're going to let him go. I wouldn't mind Luke Cunnin being on the fourth line with, and I want to see Cody Glass get back. I think Cody Glass absolutely needs to be on the fourth line at the very least. I want to see Cody Glass on the power play unit next year. He got sent down to the minors really quick after the season started this past season. And I think it was really good for him. And it ended up being a really smart decision by the organization to let him go play a full season with the Admirals. And he put up some great numbers. He piled up the assist. So I think he's absolutely ready to be back in a starting lineup on opening night of next season. So where do you put him? Probably start him on the fourth line and see what happens.
Yep, I agree. That's going to move your boy McCarron out. So
I'm okay with that.
But I'm okay with that too. I mean, he had a couple of good games here and there, but like I think they got to move in a different direction. So it's tough.
Then that brings up Ellie Tolvanen. We got to figure out what to do with Ellie Tolvanen too.
Yeah.
And speaking of Ellie Tolvanen, I don't think it's time to give up on that on the kid at all. I think he still can absolutely live up to his expectations, but at the same time, it is time to start getting a little worried about him a little bit.
I agree. Yeah, 100%. That's what I was going to say. Like next season might be it. I would say like for one more year for the.
Oh yeah. He's got to show it. He's got to show it next year. Otherwise I think he's going to become trade bait. He is going to become trade bait.
Yeah. Not last season, but the season before he played so well for the longest time. And then he got hurt. And then he just hasn't been the same since. I don't know what it is, but
maybe that's also a question of he's got to be playing with better line mates. We'll see. I don't know, but
they tried moving him around a little bit, and I mean, I don't know. That sometimes worked and sometimes didn't. And everybody talked about he does other things well, and that's true. But we need somebody who can score some goals in a bad way.
And then looking at it defensively here. Really, the only major change I see happening is I think Jeremy Lauzon's going to become a regular in the defense, and you're probably going to see Matt Benning moved out. I don't know if Matt Benning's coming back, and so that kind of because Poyle already pretty much made it pretty clear in the press conference that Jeremy Lauzon has a future with this team, and that's why they went out and got him in the first place in a trade deadline. Was because he's a restricted free agent, so they're going to have the leverage to keep him here over this offseason. So expect to see some news on Jeremy Lauzon getting re-signed here at some point this offseason, and he'll be on that defensive third pairing. And I'm excited to see what he can bring to the table on a more consistent basis.
Yeah, for sure. That's what I was getting ready to say. Everybody knows, he actually was doing pretty well in Boston with a huge defensive core that they have, and there just wasn't a place for him. And then
I got to give you credit. I got to give you credit, Rich, because when they first made the trade for Lazan, everyone was mad, everyone was freaking out, everyone was ticked off, and you told everyone to calm down. That it's a good trade, and you were kind of the first to kind of talk. Even I was kind of being negative about it, and you kind of told everybody, calm down. This is kind of a good move. This guy brings a lot of good stuff to the table, and he's young, and hey, you beat me to it, but you know what? I think you were absolutely right about it at the time.
Well, thank you. I just go back to, I know everybody was upset about the second round pick. Our friend Max Ritz, who's been on the show before, said there's like a 20% chance that a second rounder ever even gets to play in the NHL or something like that. So
yeah, it's a crazy low probability.
Yeah, so
for
I was
sure.
okay with it. And he's a big boy. And that's kind of, what, Poyle and Hines look for as big defensemen.
So I'm not really too worried about the defensive core going into the next season. I'm feeling more and more hopeful about what I'm seeing. Like I don't think that's a big area of need as far as drastically needing to change it.
No.
You just got to wonder who's going to play with Jeremy Lazan. Is it going to be Mark Borowiecki? Most likely, but you're also going to have. I think Jeremy Davies is going to see the lineup a lot more as a player who occasionally gets switched in. He's not going to start every game, but I do think Jeremy Davies still has a really good chance to get more games under his belt next season. So be on the lookout for that. I think we finally made it past Ben Harper. I don't think he's also a free agent this year. I don't think Ben Harper's, if they re-sign him for another cheap deal this offseason, then I'm seriously going to not know what to say. I'm going to be speechless.
There's going to be very many people upset. Imagine on the same day they announce they're re-signing Ben Harper, they say, well, Philip Forsberg decided not to sign.
Oh, no. Don't even go there, Rich. Don't even go there.
It would be so bad. Here's another transaction we made today. Signed Ben Harper. Ugly.
What if they tweeted that right after the Forsberg news?
Oh my gosh, that would be horrible. Disgusting.
All right, let's try to not.
Try not to think. Don't look on the negative.
All right, let's not think negative thoughts.
Don't look at the negative.
All right.
For sure.
Everyone, let us know what you think the Preds lineup should look like next season at Catfish Ice or on YouTube right now. Episode 131, blazing right along, just like the Colorado Avalanche are right now.
7-4
in game one of their
now.
Western Conference Finals. It is 7-4. They've put up a touchdown. Is it weird for me to think, though, that if any team can score 3 goals in the third period to tie it at 7-7, it would be the Edmonton Oilers?
I mean, yeah. McDavid, walks on water, so I think he can probably.
So I don't think you can completely discount this game as being over just yet. I think that we still got to keep this thing on. But if somehow the Avs put up a 10 spot, then
oh my gosh,
wow, it's gonna be kind of funny. All right,
crazy.
Speaking of that, hockey fans,
real quick, I want to say before you start reading the thing, people just do not want Edmonton to win, do they? Why do you think that is? Why?
Well, a lot of it has to do with Evander Kane.
Okay, well, I'll give you that. But
for some reason, I just think that people like to cheer against the Canadian teams. There's a lot of American hockey fans who just don't want to see the Canada streak end. I don't know, honestly, why the Oilers get so much hate. I'm not sure either. Honestly,
I don't know. I don't understand. Why do it seems like people don't want Connor McDavid to succeed? Do people not like him? I don't know.
I find him very likable. I mean, he doesn't have a big outlandish personality per se, like a Nikita Kucherov has, but I find him to be very likable for sure. And then everything, that campaign they're doing with Ben, the cancer patient.
Oh yeah,
is just
so good.
I mean, just completely warms your heart. And so that makes it really easy to cheer for Edmonton when you see that. I mean, and all that they've done for that family and stuff. I mean,
Lindsay says I just can't cheer for him.
Well, I totally get it from Lindsay's point of view.
Yeah,
she's a Flames fan. That totally makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, Canadian fans are I doubt you ever see a Canadian fan who they like their one team and they just can't even fathom rooting for any of the other ones.
You know what's funny, though? It's funny you say that. True story. I took care of a table of people from they were from Alberta, but they were from the middle. Lindsay's going to like this story. Took care of 4 people who were from Canada. They were from Alberta, halfway between Edmonton and Calgary.
Oh,
and
wow.
so I asked them, oh, so who's your team? Do you cheer for Edmonton or Calgary then? And they literally looked at me and said, oh, we cheer for both of them. And I was like, what?
Wow.
I was like, that's awesome. Got to be rare. That's got to be rare.
That's crazy.
They said that they said that they didn't really cheer for one over the other. Whichever one's doing better, they cheer for that one. I'm like, it's got to be rare.
That's good, I guess. That's awesome. Yeah, most fans aren't like that. That's for sure.
All right, they were super nice people, though. They were very nice people.
Cool. That's awesome. Very cool. Most Canadian people are very, very, very nice and friendly.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Only met a few, but they're all very nice.
They got that Midwest charm to them. That I like to say Midwest charm, where they're just very polite, very happy-go-lucky people. Yeah, very laid back, funny, all that good stuff. All right, so hockey fans, the pursuit of the Stanley Cup is on, as we're seeing right now, and DraftKings, an official sports betting partner of the NHL, still has this unbelievable offer going for you. We've been telling you about this offer the entire postseason, and it's still not too late to take advantage of this offer using promo code THPN. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code THPN. Bet $5 on any NHL team to win and get $100 in free bets no matter what. That's code THPN at the DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See our show notes for details on if you need any type of gambling help. We got the information there to seek help for that. Also, you can do same game parlays to get a big payday during the playoffs. Create your own parlay by combining multiple bets like which team will win, how many goals will be scored, and more. It's your shot at an even bigger payout. And I can tell you from personal experience that DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. And best of all, you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. So do that. We're brought to you by DraftKings, and it's promo code THPN. All right.
Free money.
Real quick, I want to throw a big shout out to Mikael Granlund. I think he played a big role for Team Finland in the IIHF tournament. So good for him. I think his team won gold, didn't they?
They did win gold. Yeah, for sure. He had
good to see.
Was it
good to
it's
see
either
Granny
2 goals
out
and
there
an
during the
assist?
offseason?
In the last game, he had 2 goals and an assist, or 2 assists and a goal. I don't remember which one, but yeah,
I think it was 2 goals and an assist. But yeah, so good.
Sounds right.
It blows my mind, and hockey is really the main sport where they do this, where they'll play an entire grueling 82-game season and then turn right around and go play in a tournament representing their home country. It's like these players really do love the game they play.
Yep.
I mean, they just play year-round sometime, and you're talking about such a physically grueling sport.
Oh, yeah.
It's just like it's always blown my mind how these players pick up where they left off from the NHL season. They go play in a tournament somewhere.
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure. Especially
it's wild to me.
Especially when you hear like all the stories, like when teams get eliminated, they start listing off all the people who are injured. There's several players that are injured. There's a few that are going to be out for like 6 to 8 months, so they're not even going to be playing next season, like at the beginning of the season. But it's just crazy that these guys
play with these.
hurt.
They play with these injuries all season, and it's kind of like it's almost kept swept under the rug a little bit, and it's just like.
Yeah. There was a Flames player, I don't remember who it was, said his ribs got broken like 3 times over the course of the season.
Talk about that is one of the most painful injuries you can have is a rib injury too. I mean, it hurts. It literally hurts to breathe.
Yeah.
If you have a rib injury. So wow. Yeah, they're true warriors. They really are. They are true warriors.
Imagine
also
having your ribs all broken.
Let's also throw some love to Brooks Bratton, who is moving on from covering the Preds for the team's official website. Brooks Bratton, I mean, we all retweet Brooks Bratton constantly during the season. I mean,
like he breaks all the news. Yeah,
he breaks all the news. Him and Adam Vinian are like 1A and 1B for me. Like if Adam Vinian or Brooks Bratton say it, then we know it's true. But we wish all the best to Brooks Bratton in his future endeavors. Sure. And he's just always done such a great job covering the team and giving us that useful information that we need every day.
Maybe they can get the person who handles social media to take over his job or something. That'd be kind of cool.
Oh yeah, Sarah Giles. She does the social media for the.
I couldn't remember what her name. I knew it was Sarah, but I don't remember.
She does that. She does outstanding work as well. Covering. I mean, that's a hard job to cover a team social media account. I mean, we do our social media accounts for Predlines and for Catfish on Ice, but it's not even in the same stratosphere as having to cover a team's social media account. I mean, that's got to be one of the hardest jobs that gets overlooked in this whole industry
because people are jerks a lot of the time, and it's like
exactly
you gotta like have a really thick skin to do social media.
You gotta have very thick skin, and it's a very difficult job to make sure you're saying the right thing, to make sure that you don't hurt anybody's feelings or offend anybody, and just everything. Like it's a very difficult job, and they do a good job of it.
Unless you're whoever takes care of the Hurricanes, they don't care about hurting anybody's feelings.
Except for them, yeah, they don't really care.
Nobody's feelings, or
no, they don't care about anybody's feelings.
No.
All right, let's wrap up episode 131. Let's put a bow on it here. Let's talk about some players on this Preds team who we expect to level up their play next year. Take it to the next level. I think we did this same segment last offseason. We called it something different, but I'm pretty sure we did this. And it would be really interesting to go back and listen to that segment last offseason to see if we got any players right or we picked anything right. But I really hope I didn't say Ellie Tolvanen last offseason, but I feel like I did.
I promise you, we both probably did. I guarantee we did. We're like so excited to see him play. But it was legitimate. It was legitimate.
My first player that I have, and we already mentioned him once in this episode, it's Cody Glass for me.
Yes.
I am super pumped to see Cody Glass as a full-time NHL player. I want him starting every game possible, maybe be a rotational player at first, but I want to see him get back in this Preds lineup for sure, not get sent back to Milwaukee. I want to give him plenty of games to get his feet wet, to get comfortable, and see if he can give this team some extra scoring, which you've always said, Rich, is what's been one of their biggest problems this past season, is having that secondary scoring, that depth scoring. And also, even though the power play was really good this year for the Preds, it was top 10 all season. Yep. I still think Cody Glass could really be a good contributor to the power play as well, the second power play unit. So he is my first player. He is my first player I'm looking to level up.
That's a great pick for sure. And I hope that you're right. I hope he does get back in because everybody loves him.
I think he will.
And everybody was really, there was a lot of people upset when he was moved down. Nobody could understand why, but it seems like it's worked out for him.
Well,
he's played really well. So
I think some people were upset about it because it happened so quick. Like it was like so early in the season. And that's kind of where I was at with it at first. I was like, man, we're sending him down this early. But I mean, they were quoted as saying basically like, look, we identified that Cody Glass needed more time to develop. He got to play for a really good Admirals team and got some really vital development. And so I think he's totally ready to go. And I would love to see Cody Glass contribute like around 10 to 15 goals and maybe contribute another 15 assists. So give me a 30 to 40 point season. Oh my gosh, I would take that and run with it if that's what Cody Glass can produce for this team next year.
In a heartbeat, for sure. Definitely.
All right, you got one?
So, I do got one. So I think this guy could definitely.
Wait, timeout. Don't say Roman Josi because Roman Josi can't possibly go any higher.
I don't think that's possible. If he does, like he'd be like hovering over the ice and not.
He would be up on to level up for Roman Josi. He'd have to be on Connor McDavid level by that point.
That would be amazing.
That's the only other. That's the only other level he can go up to.
For sure. So this guy struggled at the last quarter of the season, but he came back and had some goals. It's Yakov Trenin. I think.
Love it. That's a good one.
He is. Became one of the not dependable, but like he was the only other player really to come in and get any goals toward the end of the season. In the stretch when Philip Forsberg didn't score any at all, Yakov Trenin had like 2 or 3, if I remember correctly. He's an RFA, but I think they're definitely
keeping him.
Definitely keeping him. He plays well. He plays hard. He gets some goals, and I think next year will be a really good year for him. So it's exciting.
I think so as well. The thing I love about Trenton is his power moves to the net. Like when he's on a mission to score, I mean, he crashes that net hard.
Yep.
And I mean, he's the type of player to me he's just going to keep getting better and better. I definitely do not think he's topped out his level of play yet.
No.
And so for a segment like this, who's looking to level up next year, Yakov Trenton's a perfect one. I was going to say him if you didn't say him. Because I could see Trenton being a 20+ goal scorer when it's all said and done.
Yeah, I think so too. It's not pretty by any stretch of the imagination, but he gets the job done. So that's what I like about him. He's a really hard worker. So probably probably one of the hardest workers on the team, if you ask me.
All right, I'm going to stick with the young theme here, the young player theme here, and go with Philip Tomasino.
Yep,
I thought he had a great rookie year. He was a little overshadowed by Tanner Jeannot, and
for sure.
Because Tanner Jeannot had such a great year, but Tomasino, as a rookie, as a very young 20-year-old rookie, might I add, quietly had a very, very solid year. I mean, he did. Like he definitely wasn't a liability out there, I don't think. And now, I mean, you're thinking how young he is. Of course, he is going to only keep getting better and better, just like Trenton. Yeah. And so what I'm looking for from Tomasino next year for him to level up is he just needs to polish his game off a little bit more, get more comfortable playing that NHL role. Yep. How many games did Tomasino play this past year? I want to say he played over 70 games this year for sure. I got to look it up. Make sure I get the right number here.
It seems right. Yeah, I think if he could level up, like
76.
You said,
he played 76 games this past season. So as a 20-year-old, he played in over 70 games. That is pretty incredible for a player that young. Awesome.
I think
clearly he was doing something right.
For sure. I think if he can do that and level up, like you said, he could provide some of that scoring that they're missing. He'd be a good candidate for it. And he's got 1 year under his belt, lots of experience now. He knows the ropes, how things work. So I think it would be really good thing to see him step up next year.
Yeah, I would. And I'm looking for Philip Tomasino to be in the top 6 next year. I really am. I feel like if he's ready, and if you feel like he's ready to get those minutes and make an impact like we think he's going to eventually be, go ahead and put him in there and see what he can do, see what he can produce. He just gave you 76 games of experience in his first season. So I think now that's his next step is to be a top 6 contributor.
Yep, for sure.
Level up. Who's your next one? You got one more?
I think this might seem a little weird to say this player's name, but kind of slumped off at the end of the season, and that would be Tanner Jeannot. I think he had such a great considered a rookie season.
He was a rookie. He was technically a rookie.
Technically a rookie, 25 or 24 years old, however old he is. I think he was 24. He just turned 25, I believe. I think just building off of what he did last season, I think it would be amazing to just see him take one more step and just continue developing and just getting better, because he had some really amazing games last season and he was so fun to watch. And then just at the end of the season, like the whole team did, they all kind of hit a bit of a wall, and he struggled, but so exciting to watch him play. I mean, he's definitely the fire plug of the team who can get things going. So I think that's a good pick.
Definitely. All right, I've got one more here, and for me, so first of all of the veterans, I really can't say any of the veterans are going to level up because a lot of them already did this past season. So it's like, is it fair to ask of even more from Matt Duchene than what he did last season? I don't think so. Can we really even ask? Can we even ask even more from Philip Forsberg if he does end up being on this team? I mean, yeah, he's got the talent, but I don't think it's fair for me to say, yeah, you need to level up from the season you just had. But so I'm just going to keep sticking with the young players here. And my last one here is going to be Connor Ingram, obviously. I mean,
that's an excellent. That's a really good one.
He's in line. After what he did in the playoffs and what he did in that game 2 in particular, I mean, that was if the Preds win that game in game 2, I'm not saying they would have won the series, but suddenly that series gets so much more interesting if they steal game 2 and it went to overtime. Connor Connor Ingram did everything he could to steal that game too. And so I'm looking for him. I know he's kind of struggled a little bit for the Admirals when he came back for them in the playoffs, but I'm looking for Connor Ingram to totally settle into that backup role, take the pressure off of Saros having to start every game.
Yes.
And, they said it in the press conference. Ideally, you would like your backup goalie to get around 20 starts or more.
Mm-hmm.
So we can expect we can. I think Riddick had like maybe 12 or 13.
12 or 13. Yeah,
for sure. So we're looking for Ingram to get 20 to 25 starts maybe, and I'm looking for Ingram to basically replace what we used to have when we had Pecorine and UC Saros as that 1-2 punch. Remember how nice that was when Saros would come arrested Pecorine, and it's like, wow, we've got a 1-2 punch in net. I want to get that 1-2 punch back in net. Sure. And so I'm looking for Ingram to level up and be that quality backup goaltender for the Preds.
Yeah, at least until Askarov can show up. Then we'll see what happens. It's going to get a little dicey.
Well, we're going to see Yaroslav Askarov with Milwaukee Admirals next year, so that's going to be interesting as well.
Everybody's excited for that. That's for sure. That's going to be awesome. Can't wait.
All right. So it is 7-4 now in this game. Shockingly, no one has scored yet in the first minute of the third period. Like, what's going on here? How has no one scored yet? Like,
I don't know.
This is turning into a snooze fest.
I know, right? 11 goals. That is insane. It's so crazy. So crazy.
Oh my gosh. Rich, what else you got planned this week, man, as we get through this offseason?
Not much. Just wishing the Predators hockey would be back. Just miss it, It's like we were doing, we get so used to that schedule and then it's gone and you're like, oh man, it's going to be forever before he gets back. So looking forward to it and just the excitement of all the news it's going to come out.
So I got to say, ever since we've gotten away from the sweep and we've had time to process everything, I've kind of calmed down a little bit about the Preds being swept, especially the more and more I've watched the Avs in these playoffs. It makes total sense why the Preds got swept.
Oh,
I mean, the talent gap is just crazy. So that's kind of what I've done since the sweep is just really processed everything and thought about it more logically, get the emotions out of it. And it's like, okay, this team has a lot of work to do this offseason, but at the same time, they're going to have opportunities to upgrade this team pretty quick in free agency and obviously getting Forsberg back. So let's see what happens. We hope everyone's having a good week, enjoying the summer.
For sure.
Spending time with family and friends, doing all the fun stuff or whatever. And we will be back next week for a brand new episode. So stay tuned for that. Thanks, everyone, for listening. This has been Catfish on Ice, episode 131, presented by DraftKings, part of the Hot Podcast Network with your host, Chad Minton and Rich Howe. Everyone have a great week. We'll see you next time.
Yep. Have a good one.